Hey there, welcome to the Movie Review Mom YouTube channel. I'm the mom and I do the movie reviews. And today the film I'm reviewing is called Big Sky River, The Bridal Path. This Hallmark Movies and Mysteries original is now available on Philo, depending on how you pronounce it, and Spectrum TV. It's rated TV PG because it's very family friendly and is an hour and 30 minutes. My overall movie review mom grade is a B. So let me give you an overview in a nutshell, and then I'll point out things I liked and did not like, as well as offer tips for parents, themes worth talking about, funny lines, interesting lines, and recommendations for some other films that I think you might also like if you like this one. All right, so you ready to dive in? In a nutshell, if you saw the first movie of this story called Big Sky River and you're ready for more, well, here you go. It's definitely more of the same romance and cheese. The story is based on the book by Linda Lale Miller. The Love Fest was directed by Peter Benson, and writing credits go to Linda Lale Miller and J.B. White. So let me give you some tips for parents. While there are a bunch of kids in the movie, I think kids are generally going to be bored. It's adults talking and romancing, basically. There is talk of a mother who had died, and we see two gay dads at a parent-teacher conference. Other than that, there's really no objectionable material. And like I said, it's family friendly. Some of the themes that are worth talking about are blended or second families and how much fun, but also how difficult they can be, especially in the beginning, country life, messy romances. And ultimately, I think this movie is clean, simple, sweet, and refreshing. So here's a list of things that I really liked about the movie. Emmanuel Bagier and Kevin Smith make a lovely couple, and I apologize if I mispronounced those names. Unfortunately, their characters in this movie, the sequel, spend the bulk of the movie fighting and disagreeing about everything. It's all romance until they get engaged. And then they've got to figure out the wedding and the house and the living arrangements and all of that. And it just is difficult. And so there's a not bickering, I would say, just a lot of disagreements where you're like, oh, maybe they shouldn't be getting married. And in fact, that's what they think as well. Maybe this was a mistake. The rest of the cast does a really great job too. And in fact, we get two romances for the price of one between Peter Benson and Michelle Harrison. And we get to hear them sing some really nice country music together. And so that's a treat. And that was one of the features of the first movie, is hearing that music. This young cast is adorable, and I thought that they did a really great job, especially with all of the emotional roller coasters throughout this movie. That young cast includes Sawyer Fraser, Cassidy Nugent, Josh Zaharia. There are some others as well. The manly country names of the men and boys in this movie and in the first one crack me up. Names like Boone, Hutch, Slade, Dawson, Fletcher, and Griffin, right? Super masculine, super romance sounding names. We get to see some beautiful landscapes and cinematography of Montana. There's a very cute proposal that I liked, and women love that stuff. We eat it all up. Two of my sons out of my four are now married. And so when they were getting ready and getting serious, getting ready to propose, I'm like, you need to make this a big special deal because your wife is going to talk about this proposal for the rest of her life to anyone who will listen. And so I was really pleased. They really did pull out all the stops and made it a really big event. It was really cool. If I had more time, I'd tell you all about it, but already my reviews are too long, so you'll just have to wonder. Anyway, it was really nice to see unselfish parents, both in the first movie and in this one, who put their kids first before their own personal happiness. You know, some married couples, they get divorced and then they instantly start dating when there's kids involved. And, you got to put those kids first because those are crucial times and they're not going to be little forever. Now, if romance comes along, great, but don't, go out shopping for it when your kids are still hurting from the divorce. Now, I'm saying that from a divorced kid's perspective. My parents divorced when I was 10 years old, and it was rough. And I won't go into all of the details, but anyway, that's why I'm just saying that. My little 2 cents here. There's a scene that shows a baby's gender reveal at this party. And so if you are pregnant right now and ready for an announcement party, check out my book on Amazon because it often goes for free. It's called Baby Announcement Ideas and Gender Reveals, 200 Creative Ways to Share Your Great News. So check that out. If you follow me on Instagram under my author name, Trina Boice, you'll see all the dates when I post the days that different books are on sale. I'm actually an author of 31 books, in case you didn't know. So anyway, check those out. And if you like them, leave a positive review. I think readers don't realize often how important those reviews are for us. Okay, so the story is about how difficult it is to blend families. And I think the movie did a really good job of illustrating that and also illustrating the push and pull of relationships and the compromise to make everybody happy and how important that is. That it's not just your happiness that matters, that when they're, especially when kids are involved, and then when you get married, of course. All right. Anyway, with all of that praise, there were just a few things that I didn't like or thought could have been done a little bit differently. For example, it's definitely more enjoyable to watch this one after you've seen the first movie, where you get to fall in love with these people and watch the romance and get to know the kids and everybody involved. Otherwise, it just sort of dives straight in and you're like, I don't know these people. And so, it takes a minute to figure out who they are and why you should care about them. You can watch my movie review of that first one here on the Movie Review Mom YouTube channel. This movie is definitely less romantic, I thought, than the first one, because as I mentioned, the lead couple gets engaged and now they're dealing with all of the stress and the business of planning a wedding and trying to figure out how to merge the two families. Whereas in the first movie, it really was all romance. There are some awkward kisses between the main couple where I was like, oh, not a lot of chemistry going on. Whereas in the first movie, I think I felt more sparks between them. And then there are better kisses between the other romantic couple, Michelle Harrison and Peter Benson, just to compare and contrast. The dialogue, of course, is super cheesy, but it's a romance. That's kind of how the genre is. Some of the transitions between the scenes were a little rough and abrupt, and I was sort of surprised. And when I was watching that, I was like, oh, yeah, I do vaguely remember that happening in the first film. So they just needed a little smoother transitions, in my opinion. I love it when one scene blends or just works better or folds into the next scene seamlessly. And in this case, it's like scene, cut, scene, you know what I mean? There's a breakup that lasts for about 30 seconds. So in terms of the hero's journey and hitting the challenges and obstacles and then the denouement, it happens very, very quickly. And, that's okay, I guess. So whenever I watch movies, I always write down lines, funny lines and interesting lines, simply so I can share them with you so you can get a taste and feel for the dialogue and script writing quality. I have them all on my written review at moviereviewmom.com, so you can check them out there. But I'll share some interesting lines. There really aren't a lot of funny lines because this is not a rom-com with lots of comedy. There are some amusing lines, which are mostly characters razzing each other, but nothing that'll make you laugh out loud. And that was worth writing down for me, at least. So there are a lot of interesting lines, though. For example, Boone Taylor, played by Kevin Smith, he's the romantic lead, the male, and he says, part of life is moving forward and doing whatever you need to do to get there. And I thought that was a really great line and how we should remember that if you've got that end goal in mind, you can get through all the messy stuff to remember that. So I'm actually a full-time professor at a nursing college, and I always tell my students, just keep that graduation stage in your mind, and that'll help you get through the rough days, because the rough days are going to come. They always do. So just keep your eye on the prize. And they tell me that that's helpful advice. It is. All right. So another line that Boone Taylor says is, "You're not going to lose me. You just found me." And I thought that that was a sweet romantic line. Casey Elder is this country western star in real life and in the movie, and she's played by Michelle Harrison. And she says, the name of the town, by the way, is called Parable. And so she says, "That's one thing Parable taught me, to be honest with myself about what I want." And I thought that was an interesting line too, because sometimes we get wrapped up in the drama or the excitement, and we have to think about reality and what it is we can do, we can want, and that kind of thing. And then finally, another line spoken by Tara Kendall, who's the character played by Emmanuel Volier. I don't know how to pronounce her name, but anyway, she's lovely, by the way. She says, "We have to be on the same page when it comes to the kids." 100%. That was just a no-brainer of a line for me, and I was glad it was in the movie. All right, so let me give you 3 recommendations for films that are sort of similar that I think that you might get a kick out of. The first one is Big Sky River Part 1. So if you haven't watched the first one, watch that one first, and then you can watch the sequel. Another movie is more of a feature film. It's called The Wedding Planner. It's a rom-com, and there's drama, and it's fairly predictable, but it's sweet and fun, kind of a classic. And then another one is called Yours, Mine, and Ours. And there are actually a couple of different versions of that movie. And it's basically the joys and the craziness of blended families. And both of my parents remarried after they divorced, and we had some blended family action going on. And so I like this because there's a lot of comedy, and you can cry, pull your hair out over the difficulty of what it is to have a blended family, or you can embrace the craziness and just enjoy being part of a new family and a new family union. All right, that's it. I hope that if you watch this movie, you get a kick out of it like I did. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. When you get a minute, run over and join my Movie Review Mom Facebook group. Have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.